Welcome into Buffett's Buffet, 5 Things on My Mind edition. 5 things off the top of my head. There are no notes. There is no prep. When you work in a warehouse from 7 to 12, there is no time for prep. So we're going to go off the top of my head. Number 5, I have not watched the episode of The Boys. The Boys, the Amazon Prime series, wrapped up its run last night. And I gotta say, as somebody who does not hate a spoiler if it comes my way, when you've watched movies and TV shows and reviewed them and been in that kind of world, it's gonna happen, especially if you're on social media. But my goodness, there's an account called The Shot that puts a lot of movie and TV stuff up, and they spoil so much of The Boys. Like the night that it's going, you see screenshots, and I'm like, you know, I don't need to see it. Like, I don't hate to get a spoiler, but I don't really want to run into them consistently. And man, I tell you, I like that account, but they put a lot of spoilers up. Because my idea is that in the end, I think Homelander and Butcher are going to die. I think that's just how it has to go. I think that Butcher's going to find a way to kill him, but he's going to get mortally wounded. And the show will probably end with Jack Quaid's Huey kind of maybe leading the boys when he was recruited by Butcher, Bill the Butcher, in the very first episode after his girlfriend is killed. And it might end that way. But haven't watched it yet. Tried to watch it last night when I got home and did not make it. You know, I got about 10 or 15 minutes in and then woke up to whatever Amazon Prime was putting on at that hour, because they'll just keep playing stuff. You know, whatever's on the bottom of your play page, that will be up next, and then that will be up. So I still got to watch that, but as a guy who doesn't mind spoilers, I do run into a lot of them on Facebook. It's not a good place to be if you hate spoilers. Number 4, the Cardinals did lose last night. They're going to do that. They got shut out by the Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates are full of good pitching. Cardinals stole a game on Tuesday night. They stole a game 9-6. They walked off in the 10th with a 3-run homer by Ivan Herrera, and then last night they got shut out 7-0. And as a guy who has got to watch a little bit of it, you know, Michael McGreevy didn't exactly pitch terribly, but when your offense is giving you nothing, that's kind of what the Cardinals are doing right now. In May, they're pitching better, but they're not hitting as well. And so hopefully they can kind of bring that up to speed, but they are still 28-20 and second or third in the division. They kind of hop around depending on if they win or lose, because Brewers at the top, the Cubs are right behind them, and the Pirates and the Reds are not too far below them. It's kind of it's a pretty competitive pretty competitive division early on in the season as we rocket towards 2 months into the season. But yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, you know, there's going to be nights where they get beat up, but there's going to be very rarely where they lose 7-0, because even in a game where it was 4 or 5-0, this Cardinals team could come back from that. So that's going to be something to watch, but they're still a very entertaining team, and I don't think that fans have really seen them at their complete best, because they need to get the pitching and the hitting together at once, and then they're just going to pile over teams, because they can hang around with the good teams, and that's a big thing. They're not playing well at home, but until all the fans come back, it's not really great to play in front of a half-full Busch Stadium. You know, when the players talk about getting energized on the road and feeling the energy of even the other crowd and whatever Cardinals fans traveled, that's telling you something that, you know, I mean, people, they understand why the fans didn't come back. I mean, you have 3 years of mediocrity, and really over the last 8 to 10 years, not a lot of playoff, not a lot of really competitive playoff teams. But that can be a factor when you take the field at Busch Stadium and, you know, it's a third full, it's half full, maybe it's a little bit over half full, maybe it's tilting towards 3/4 full, but still, you know, a sea of red. And the excuses are gone. So if you're like, well, you know, the school's going to be out, or if it's not out already this week, So hopefully fans start to show up because the team is exciting. I mean, if you wanted this team to be entertaining, to have a good chance to win every night, they're here. I mean, this is like, I wrote this the other day, but this is a rebuild on a treadmill. It's like a rebuild. Usually it's a gradual come up from bad and you're going up towards good. But the Cardinals in the first year of the rebuild under Chaim Bloom have they're going. I mean, they're moving. And so I hope fans do come back, because I don't think this team's all of a sudden just going to quit or run into a big wall. They might get a little closer to 500, but then they'll race above it. So they're going to be competitive. They're going to be fun to watch, and hopefully the fans come out now that school's out. And, there's going to be more action down at Busch Stadium, because you got to be a good home playing team or you don't have a chance of being in the playoffs. So, number 3, Mandalorian and Grogu is out in theaters tonight. Baby Yoda and the Mando out there fighting the good fight. I don't know what the plot is. I imagine they're just going to follow those two on a journey and adventure, and there's going to be a bunch of cameos. You're going to wonder, is that a famous actor in the Stormtrooper outfit? Yes. Yeah, and somewhere in this movie, Tom Cruise is in one of those outfits. That is a fact. If a guy jumps off of a building and does a somersault and then pops up, that's probably Tom Cruise, even in a Stormtrooper costume. But that comes out, once again, wasn't screened for critics, but doesn't really need to be when you're Star Wars. You can just, it's going to make $1 bajillion. If there's any franchise that's critic-proof, it's almost like the fans become the film critics when it comes to Star Wars, not the film critics. Like, people are going to read them. I mean, they're going to read what Variety and the Hollywood Reporter and all the big ones say, Rolling Stone, but New York Times and whatnot. But the fans are the ones that kind of determine, is this good? Is this bad? And then the other fans hear that, and then they'll go on. But it didn't need to be screened. So that's out. That's going to make a lot of money this weekend. And if it does get good reviews, then the casual, maybe sort of Star Wars fans will come out and see it next week. Number 2, I'll tell you what, everybody needs a good corner pub next to where they live that they can walk to. That's what I have at my place. A place I hadn't been into, probably drove by about 1,000 times, but I live near Hampton in Southwest, and so there's a bar across the street, and then there's a bar up the street called Ryan's Irish Corner Pub. Got a little courtyard, got a nice little interior, and when you walk in, now that I've been going there enough, they know me by name, and they're almost, it's going to get to a point where, I usually go in there and order a Yingling. Yingling's pretty good on draft. In a bottle, it's okay. In a can, it's okay. But off draft, it's like a soda. Coke Zero or any soda is best in a can, and then everything else just kind of shrinks in value. But it's going to get to a point where I walk in there and they're like, Dan, Yingling? And it's just nice. $5 pints every night. And, the domestic beers are even better. And the bottles. And so you can kind of go there and have a good time. And there's a good, motley crew of characters there. Bartenders like Marion, she's great. Chris, the kind of bartender that I think I met a couple times, but last night after getting a beer, he just puts his hand over the bar. I'm Chris. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm Dan. There you go. Now we're buddies. And you get the kind of cool people there that order pizza, because a lot of these little dive bars in St. Louis City, you can have it delivered there, or you can bring in food. I mean, why are they going to go against that as a bar? The one thing you really want, you want people to be drinking and spending money, and, you want people to be able to have food and not leave to go get food. I mean, that'd be the worst thing, is if they come to the bar, have a few drinks, well, I need to get food. Well, they can just have the food there. So I was sitting next to a party last night, 3 people, and they had Jets Pizza. And let me tell you, I haven't had Jets in a while. We had them, me and my family, and then my ex-wife Rachel, and I don't even know if my son ate it because he's kind of picky, but we used to get them a lot back in the day, which was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But like years ago, we get them a lot. They're right there on Hampton and Pernod. But I hadn't had them in a while. But man, for St. Louis, rocking a Detroit-style pizza you can do a lot worse than Jet's Pizza, because they offered up a slice. Because they're sitting right next to me at the bar, and we start talking. I get in there and I smell it. It's just terrible. It's the carb-free way to enjoy food, but it's also torturous. You're just like, oh man, I just want to have a piece. And they must have seen me eyeing their pizza, and they're like, hey, big guy, have a slice. And I'm like, huh. Usually if like, I've been, you know, when I Uber drive and somebody wants to go by a gas station, which I will do, it loses me money, because as an Uber driver, time is money. You know, you're not making a wage, but you're making, holy moly. I want to pardon the interruption here for a minute. I am looking at one of my bosses, the owners of my company. His name is Steve Rotzkoff, and this guy buzzed his head. Steve, unlike his cousin, the other owner, Joe is bald, like me. Steve shaved his head. Not shaved it like I do. He's got a little bit more than this. But I just had to say something, because he leaves every lunch. Every time I do this, Steve Rotzkoff leaves in his little Tesla with their little flat screen right here on their dash. And you just looked at him, and I was like, thought somebody was stealing Steve's car. And now it's not. It's just Steve buzzed his head. Maybe because his cousin Joe is like, hey, come on, it's summertime, it's warm. Maybe he saw me and thought, man, that guy looks pretty good buzzed. But yeah, Jet's Pizza, getting a free slice was a nice little bump, because if you're a good person and you come into a bar or in any kind of establishment and you're not a dick, you know, and you kind of put off a good vibe, people are going to want to shake your hand. They're going to want to give you a slice of their pizza. And a slice of Jet's Pizza is about, you know, it's this, you know, it's a big slice, and it's thick, and they got those crispy corners. Like, you can get a personal pan 4-slice Jet's Pizza and be pretty much stuffed. And that's me getting stuffed. That's 215-pound animal needing 4 slices of that pizza. But yeah, got a good corner pub that I can walk to, and if I get really, really, really drunk, I can wander home and not end up at the funeral parlor down the street, or the Crazy Bowls, you know, wander in there and eat all their chicken. But yeah, it's nice to have a pub that you can walk to. Number 1, I mentioned this on Facebook, but look, I make a lot of deliveries. I deliver people on Uber. I deliver plumbing during the day. We have 2 drivers, regular drivers. I am kind of what they would say, I'm in the bullpen, and now I just see Joe Rotzkoff, who has a bald head. Both owners of the company leaving the parking lot. They're like, we're out of here. But made a delivery this morning to Chesterfield, to what was kind of like an old, elderly cul-de-sac community, not like one of those old nursing home buildings, but it's like a little area where they all live. And I had to deliver this little grab bar. It's a box about this big, that thin. It's nothing. That's why I did it in the pickup truck. And I knock on the door, and I'm waiting, because I'm getting the feeling that there might be some older people coming to the door. And rest assured, the lady is coming around the corner on her walker, and she sees me and kind of does a double take. And then the guy comes around in his walker, and they got tennis balls on the bottom. They're cruising at a very slow pace. And they come up to the door, and they open, and they go, oh man, we've been waiting for this. You know, the only people in that zip code that were just desperately waiting for a grab bar for their bathroom. Because you got to think, if you're an elderly person and you're in the shower, you need something that you can kind of grab onto, so you don't just, you know, slip and fall, and who knows what's going to happen to you. So a grab bar is actually like an MVP when you're that age. But it was just adorable. I mean, the older guy comes to the door, the woman is behind him. I can tell they're husband and wife. I don't have to think about it for too long or look for rings. And they're old. I mean, you can always tell with older people in their hands. They got, you know, all the veins, and everything's a little beat up. But they're still there. They're still alive. They're still ticking. And I just kind of got back in the delivery truck and just sat there for a minute. I thought, man, that's awesome. That is the goal. I've never been a player. I've never wanted to be the guy that, you know, sees a couple different people at once, or doesn't get serious, or doesn't want to get too into it with somebody. My goal is to find, you know, somebody and be with them and ride this out together. But it's a lot better dealing with life, the rising costs, the rising anxiety, the everyday struggles, what we all got to deal with. It's nice to deal with that when you got somebody else in the boat. Right now my boat is empty, and so it's just nice to kind of look behind you or look ahead of you, who's ever steering at the moment, and go, all right, well, you know, it's going to be okay. And so I got a little kick out of that, seeing them just kind of, you know, like, who's going to answer the door? Look at this big old bastard. What's he got a box? Oh, we need that. Open the door, Harry. And, you know, they grab it. And I kind of look through the window before I left, and they're just turning around slowly but surely, making a U-turn, which at that age, on that kind of walker, might take about 3 minutes. And I was just like, I almost wanted to say something. I was like, you know, this is awesome. You know, you're riding it out together. It's great. But that's it, folks. Find somebody that you can enjoy the chaos of life with, and hopefully you find somebody who appreciates you and appreciates your time and wants to run into whatever obstacle lies ahead, because they are going to be there. So that's all I got today. 5 random things. It's sometimes I just want to do this for content, especially if I have the energy to do it, and if I have the willpower, and I'm not just going to be like, well, what's next? Nothing's next. Go away. But I'm going to take a little bit of time to maybe just decompress, lean this seat back, not fall asleep, as I have a fear on my lunch break where it's not warm enough. It's not too hot, it's not too cold to where your body is going to be unable to fall asleep. It's just going to be sweaty or cold. It's that kind of temperature today where it's like 60s, maybe pointing towards 70s. I'll wake up and it'll be 3:30, and Tony's like, hey, trucks are loaded, we're going home. How you doing? Wake up! But gonna take a little bit of time, but I hope you watch this. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you subscribe. Every post I put up, video or written, I put a little thing at the bottom, a little, what they call it, a little widget, and it just says subscribe, because subscriber count's nice. I'm going to share this on social media at some point, but it's nice to have, you know, email subscribers. It pumps up the ego to see that subscriber number go up and up and up and up. It's at 535, which is nothing to sneeze at, but I'd like it to go a little higher. So if you like the content, you look around the site and you go, this guy's pretty cool. This guy's pretty interesting. He talks about a lot of non-important shit. Give it a subscribe, and I'll talk to you, or you can read me next time on Buffa's Buffet via Substack at dailydoseofbuffa.substack.com. Come get some.